Everybody, welcome to Stack Your Points. Thanks for watching and listening. And this is the Friday Q&A segment. So your questions, we answer them, sometimes up to an hour, sometimes it creates its own episode in and of itself. So if you have questions, always feel free to drop them on the YouTube channel or email us at stackyourpoints@gmail.com. But we hope you enjoy this week's Q&A session. Thanks for watching and listening.
Thank you so much for joining the Stack Your Points podcast. As always, we record every week. I'm joined this week by my co-hosts, RJ from Do You Take Cards? RJ, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Matt. The Packers won. They beat the Texans, which makes me very happy. Tariq, I'm sorry that your state team it lost. You know, I don't think the Cowboys are America's team anymore. I think the Strouds are America's team. So we beat them, though. I'm very excited about that.
Packers fans, please watch out for your cars. We're also joined by Tariq from Reek's Rewards. Tariq, how are you this evening?
I'm good. Cowboys are America's team because America loves to make fun of them. So I'm glad, but they had a bye week, so no one cares. I gave up on the Saints, so they don't stress me out anymore. And UTSA won this weekend, so I am feeling quite good.
None of you know sports pain. I'm a Mets fan. And finally, we're joined by our special guest, Key from Kiki's Kiki Adventures. My goodness, sorry about that. Key, how are you today?
I am wonderful, wonderful. My Yankees are in the playoffs. Who are the Mets?
The better team in New York.
And this is the last time we'll probably have Key on the show.
No. I'm sure some bookies made quite a bit of money this week. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. Whether or not they happen to go into a certain clubhouse, we'll see. Because you just never know what's happening to your bank accounts ever. We're gonna move over to our viewer questions now. We have a couple questions to get through. Our first question comes from AP, who asks, who are each of your top 3 credit card YouTubers, present company excluded, and why? I'll kick over to Key for her top 3 YouTubers.
Sounds great. So I'm going to take us back a little bit in time here. I've been doing the credit card thing and the churning thing for almost 10 years at this point. So some of these you may have to research, but starting off with Award Travel 101. This is the first ever Facebook group that I ever found. Richard Kerr was my guy. Definitely used to hit him up on when it was called Twitter all the time with questions. He could absolutely nerd out on a lot of stuff and has definitely helped me quite a bit with my education. Next is also someone from my area, I'll say like the East Coast, and that's Dustin from Waller's Wallet. He no longer does videos as far as I know. Also has a Facebook community, but paramount in learning how different award charts work. His philosophy is not just earning points, but using them. And I know that's, everyone's struggle, right? Is how to most efficiently use these. Next, I'll bring it up in time a little bit. I could go on and on. I'm going to say Anthony Venture, predominantly because he, often mentors me in a lot of different areas when it comes to YouTube. And just the way he thinks is very different when it comes to credit cards and strategies and things like that. So definitely someone I watch all of their videos on, but I could go on and on. Top 3? Sure. Chad Money Minutes, definitely another one in there. Sledge from Sledge Inc. team, another honorable mention, I'll say.
Thank you, Key. RJ, your top 3.
So I am not just saying it because he's one of my co-hosts, but call me Lonnie. I really do deeply enjoy his content, even though I'm not in most of the programs that he is talking about. He has some really truly amazing ideas, and I enjoy watching him, and I enjoy talking to him on this podcast when he is here. So I have to give him a shout out. Chad from Chad Money Minutes is the first YouTuber I think I ever actually subscribed to when I started getting into YouTube. Just the way he spoke and the way he could convey his message. The 101 series he did where he walked through all of the terms was really important to me, and how I learned how to do all of this. Like, I knew what a lot of the terms were, but just sort of the context and sometimes refreshing yourself on what everything means, I think, is really helpful. So Chad is somebody that I really enjoy watching. Even if I don't agree with him, I enjoy watching and seeing what his points are. And then there's so many, like, there are so many truly really great YouTubers. Um I'm gonna give a shout out, and I know people are going to roll their eyes because we just had him as a guest, but Josh from Credit Cards and Travel, um, simply because I think that he is somebody who is younger than I am, but somebody who really has an excitement for this and sort of a passion for this, especially the altitude reserve. Which is sort of my pet card at the moment. But I really think he is somebody who is very thoughtful in his approach and how he talks about all of this, even when he doesn't know the answer or have everything in lockstep. He's somebody who I think really thinks very deeply about this, and I appreciate that. So those would be three people that I think you should follow. Like, my top three is going to depend on the week, right? Like, because sometimes, somebody else will put out a video and I'm like, this is the best thing I've seen all month, right? And I think this community, there are so many people with so many great ideas that you just have to find the videos that resonate with you, and then, go from there. So those would be the three I would mention, but, sort of go down their trees, right? Find out who's commenting on their videos, who's also a creator, and watch their stuff and keep going down, because there are just truly so many kind of amazing people in this community.
Absolutely. Tariq, your top three in the credit card YouTube space.
Man, yeah, this is a very tough one because my top three will probably change if this question was asked, like, whether it be a week before or a week after this recording. But I would be remiss, again, not just because he's a co-host, but because of his content and the way he edits and the way he just has conversations. Plus, he's the reason why I am full gung-ho on United and Miles Plus X. Call me Lonnie. I watched his original United Explorer card when I was learning about the card, and then even his new one, and just going through just the content, especially his conversation he had with Richard Kerr about the built card, and just all the information that he has. And whether it just be watching the YouTube or even having conversations in like the Discord, that man has a wealth full of knowledge. Another one for me would be Joe Barreto, mostly because he has great content, he has good connections, and I love his Tuesday live streams because it's a mix of information, but it's a party. It's a party every Tuesday. You're gonna get entertained, you're gonna laugh, you might cry. He's gonna bring in like a guest from anybody in the creator, which is kind of a cop out because it lets me use in like a lot of the other creators that I watch and I enjoy. And it's a great way to spend a Tuesday afternoon if you didn't. Third one is probably for me when I think he's been in for about a couple years now. I know he went full time, being Spencer Johnson, mostly because he and I are around the same age. So getting that perspective from another peer per se, especially with him recently graduating, and I think he's like an hour and a half from me with him being in Austin. So kind of that vicinity type of thing. And just seeing how he was, fully with Chase and understanding like why he does that, and having the experience with the Sapphire Terrace, why he has a Sapphire Reserve, and also just the editing. And also he had that creator conversations where he brought in all his other guests, including like Daniel Braun, who was kind of like a mentor, I guess you could say, per se, but just bringing in all the other creators and knowing about their story and seeing what they do. Again, this is just my top three for this week. it could potentially change if I do it next week, because there's just so many different perspectives, so many different voices and minds in this credit card space that it's really difficult to choose just three. Hell, it's even hard to just choose five because there's just that many good ones out there.
Thanks, Streak. Let's see. That leaves me having to answer. Oh boy. Well, first and foremost, I would not be recording and putting together however many episodes we've put together now, what, 12, 15, however far in we are at this point. We've lost track. It's a good time. I would not be here. My channel would not exist. I would not have the subscriber list that I do if it wasn't for Chad at Chad's Money Minutes just pushing me to create my channel. He like took a live stream, announced that I was just going to do it, and I don't know the right word to put it, apprehensive at first. And then once I started the channel, Chad was super supportive in having me on a live stream, just getting me out there and just saying, with his help and advice of like, just get on camera and just make the mistakes. The only way to learn is to do. I would not be here on YouTube if not for Chad. So Chad is definitely one of my favorite credit card creators. Also, his perspectives are fantastic. And the fact that he's willing to call a spade, with certain cards that get much love that they really don't deserve in the community. Knowing that Chad's there to have my back on some of those opinions is super helpful. Next, genuinely one of my favorite creators to interact with is Dugraus from Dugraus Reports. Taking that philosophical side, getting that thought process on just a different level of things is much needed instead of the usual. And like, these videos haven't been made in the last year because they stopped being popular, but like, one of the things that I saw when I first got onto credit card YouTube was like the Chase Sapphire Preferred versus the American Express Gold Card, and how many videos you could do about that. Like, Dugraus was doing something different, and it was really cool about like his Frugal Point series, where he talks about the philosophical side of points and miles and like evaluating point values, because he can use the Aeroplan card to pay off a lot of his travel at an elevated rate that most people wouldn't think to use. So Duras is definitely one of my favorites. Then I guess top three for now. Again, these can always rotate depending on who you ask. Right now, I'd also put in like Luke's Points and Miles. He's also doing some philosophical thinking on points now, just because he's changing his approach, and he's willing to change his approach in a very public way with how he does things. He was very like Amex heavy last year. This year, he's been trying some other programs out. He's gotten into Citi. He's gotten into Capital One. He went and applied for the Turkish card, not because like the Turkish card is going to be an amazing card, but because he actually had real value for that card for himself. So getting those extra perspectives is always good. But like, honorable mentions, obviously Key is a great watch. I mentioned Key in a video I dropped today because she was actually able to take like the 5 extra seconds that 1 Mile at a Time and the Points Guy and everyone else didn't take, to realize that iPreferred is silly and that you have to go through the iPreferred website, not the Preferred Hotels website, to find those really good values. And then other honorable mentions, there are creators who have definitely helped me out along the way. Stan's also really great. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'll put it as Chad, Dugraus, and Luke for now, but ask me next week and my 3 will change. Also honorable mention to Lonnie, who is always fun to watch.
So the funny thing is, the reason I started my channel is because of Matt on one of his lives. I asked Matt a question of, should I do a What's in My Wallet video? And he's like, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Do it. I expect it up next week. And I was like, well, I guess if he expects it up next week, I better get on my horse and start making a video. That's why I made my first video. And now we're here.
Wow, that's so fascinating. I know someone mentioned Chad. It was Matt. Chad's also the reason I started my channel as well. He was talking about keyboard warriors and people that just are in the comments and just and challenge people to start their own channel, right? If they have a message that they want to say or a different perspective, that's okay, right? We all have our different perspectives, our different things that we're going for. So yeah, shout out to Chad. Big shout out to Chad.
Absolutely. Chad, we hope you're watching this episode. I know he watches a good number of them. So thanks, AP, for that question. Let's go on to our next question coming from our resident. SpaethCo is not an actual actuary, but like SpaethCo keeps us honest with numbers in a way that is just insane. So his question is, in this game, there are opportunities for crazy good deals if you're willing to invest the time and effort and maybe a little bit of risk. Good examples on the redemption side might be things like booking United to Hawaii via Turkish Miles and Smiles, or transferring to programs with non-extendable miles expiration policies, ANA, Emirates, etc. On the earnings side, examples might be buying gift cards at office supply stores or participating in buying groups. So the question is, really boils down to, do you invest your time into and effort into these good deals? Are you willing to let a good deal go by just because the work involved was not worth the juice wasn't going to be worth the squeeze? So Tariq, have you overlooked opportunities just because it was not worth it to you?
Yeah, so I have a city custom cash, and honestly, I don't, mostly because I've been using the 5X grocery and gas category on my Freedom Flex. I've had difficulty using it for this year, but I know the big thing with that is I could potentially go buy like a Visa gift card, MasterCard gift card, name your payment network of choice, their gift card, and go to like, say like for a grocery store, I can go to HEB and buy one of those prepaid gift cards at like 500 or like 494.05 for like the activation fee or whatnot. And you can get the max value and then use that for like kind of like a 5X catch-all. And like you can do that, but for me it just feels like it's a lot of work. Plus, I don't like having to manage those prepaid gift cards and then making sure that you use all the value, you don't even leave like the little bit of cents. And yeah, that's just too much for me. I think if you're able to do it and it's not like using like 4 or 5 different custom caches, because you're getting like a American Airlines card for like AA miles sign-up bonus and then product exchange into a custom cache, and you have just more than you can ever count, and then you're maxing that out. Sure, you're going to get good amount of thank you points for it, but it's going to be over the course of a year, and having to make sure you have, okay, cool, I used the $500 on this custom cache and the $500 on that one, and then on and on and on. It just feels like a mathematical headache, and I already do enough numbers crunching and calculations with my day job, and like I already kind of keep it somewhat simple with my point strategy, with the exception of using mileage plus X like a madman. So I don't want to add like another layer of complexity to my strategy, because I might end up going to just do a 2% catch-all card just to make my life simple. And I like traveling and using points. So yeah, that's a no for me on the like custom cash gift cards.
Okay. Key, what's the best deal you know about, but personally decide not to take advantage of because it's just that bridge too far?
Yeah, for me, I think it's churning the ink cards. I love travel. Don't get me wrong. I travel quite a bit, traveling right now. And I think the last time I was on, I was also traveling. Um, but really, two questions, right? Question number one, how much vacation time are you all getting? You all meaning whoever's listening to this. Number two is, how many days are you spending in a metal tube in the sky? If those answers are low, and I know that's a relative, right? I don't have an example of what a low number is. But if those numbers are on the low side of things, like why are you churning ink cards? Like what are you trying to go after? Like I don't really understand. Um, Nothing against it, right? I love churning credit cards. I love having multiples of the same credit card. But that one in particular, it just makes me scratch my head. So in that case, no, this juice is not worth the squeeze. I'd rather be a Chase customer for 30 more years into the future than risk my relationship over churning some cards over and over again.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I have an Ink Cash, I have an Ink Unlimited. I'm willing to close my Ink Unlimited for a different Ink Unlimited, but like I'm not going to be doing a quarterly or like bi-year, like semi-annual push for those. Like if I find an elevator bonus, great. If I need to rebuild some chase points really quickly, it's a really nice way to do it. But there are other strategies that, you don't necessarily need to do an ink a quarter or an ink every month or whatever some folks are able to get away with. Like, unless you have massive business spend, I don't understand it.
I just want to, like, for the listeners at home, none of this is a need. Traveling is not a need. You might want to travel. You might want to have a ton of Chase points or a ton of Amex points or a ton of whatever points. But this is not actually a need. I'm sorry. There is nobody who needs to stay at a Waldorf Astoria versus a lower property. And this is not to my lovely co-host. This is directed at the listeners and at the comments that I hear all the time of like, oh, I need to do this so I have the points so I can travel. Like, no, you don't. You don't need to travel. Like, do I need to travel first class? Like, can I get on a plane and be in Comfort Plus on Delta? Like, physically, yes. I will not go into cardiac arrest if I'm in Comfort Plus. Now, am I going to buy first class? Yes, because I can afford it. I have the miles to do it, whatever. I don't physically need to do it to travel, right? And I think sometimes we in the community get so wrapped up in, I need to do this so I have the points to travel. Well, you don't have to stay at the 5-star hotel. You don't have to travel first class. If you want to do trips, you also probably live in an area where you could just drive there or rent a car and go. Like, I think need is a word that we throw around in the community a lot. No, you don't. You want to. And that's okay. Like, want is a perfectly acceptable reason, but do not get want and need confused when it comes to travel. Because unless you're going for a funeral or a wedding or something like that, you don't need these things. You want them. And it's okay to want, but please, for the love of all that is good in this world, you don't need to buy 50 gift cards to go to dinner because I gotta have those 2 extra points or I'm gonna go broke. No, my friend, you're not. You're just an asshole. Anyway, so my answer is gift cards. I don't care about gift cards. I do not want to buy a gift card to go to dinner and have it be exactly the amount I want so I can get 5x instead of 4x or 3x. No, I'm sorry. And if I go to dinner with you and you pull out multiple gift cards, I'm leaving and you're paying the full bill. You can have the points. I don't care. Like, no, I'm sorry. No, be an adult, pay for your meal, and go about your day. No, I'm going to start taking newspapers with me and whapping people on the nose if I see it.
I did not expect spicy RJ, and I did not expect an RJ rant. It's just still not as good as the other one we did a few episodes.
Look, don't compare my rants. They're very individual to how I'm feeling at the moment, sir.
Look, okay, first of all, I took that a little personally because I like Mileage Plus X, but I make sure to use them at like those tablet terminals or like the scan the pays, so I'm not inconveniencing my server because yes, I look like I'm not even going to try to say have you bleep it out, but yeah, I look like one of those a-holes, okay? And I would rather not do that, but I try to be decent with it. I'm not going and like splitting my payments and stuff, but
look, if you want to buy a gift card because your niece is graduating high school and you want to give them a gift card to do whatever, that's fine. I'm not saying all gift cards are evil, but I literally have seen people buy 4 of them to go to like Sizzler. Like, guys, it's not that deep. You can go with 3x for dinner and you are not going to go broke. I promise you.
I only do the Mileage Plus X ones because the e-gift cards are a little bit easier, and feel like it's less hoops.
You can rationalize it however you want.
You're in your
I
feelings
still
about
think
it to
you're an
me.
I
asshole.
am very much in my feelings,
You're
and
in
you
your
know
feelings
what?
about it. Here's the thing: as long as it's not causing you mental stress, and you're like, "Dang," like you feel hurt that you left some miles on the table, it's fine. If that doing Miles Plus X and whatever else you're doing, great. But when it starts like messing with your mental stress, like you're doing too much. You're doing too much. So
Moving on, let's see the deal that was too much work for me. I I made a video at the very beginning of the year that was I'm going to try to maximize as much as much of my spend as I can. I gave up on that after about 3 months. Like, there's only so much that I can go through Rakuten. There's only so much that I can go through the Chase shopping portal. Now, the Chase shopping portal is great. Don't get me wrong. Use the Chase shopping portal. I wish Wells Fargo had a version of it. Yes, I will always bring it back to Wells Fargo for whatever stupid reason. I like the True Blue version is fine. Not as many retailers, but whatever. Um, the shopping portals, the top cashback, like, yes, I will try to use them, but now I'm just making sure that I use them for things, for very specific things. Like, top cashback is going to be my option for when I choose to make point purchases. For, if Hyatt points are on a decent sale, IHG points are on a decent sale, because top cash back is going to give me 2.5% back, whereas Rakuten is only going to give me 1.5 or 1.25, sorry. And I haven't set up my membership reward point earning card yet into Rakuten to start getting membership reward points instead. Like, that all just becomes a little bit of a bridge too far.
wait,
Now, I
pause.
understand it.
Stop. We got to talk about that.
Yeah.
You haven't set up Rakuten to make sure that it's converting to membership rewards points. So you're getting big fat checks still?
I have been getting checks when I get checks. Now, to be fair to me, I only got my first membership reward earning card a month and a half ago.
That is 6 weeks, sir.
That's a long time, and that's one of like the first steps you should do upon getting Amex card. I know there's a whole bunch of other things you should do, but I would argue that's like number 2 after setting up autopay. I don't want to get upset, but I am a little disappointed here, Matt. I won't even lie.
Once again, first membership reward point earning card I got 6 weeks ago. Yeah, so I think we're going to call it good on SpaethCo's question there. Let's go over to friend of the pod, Keith. We've got a pair of questions from Keith. The first one I'm going to ask is, Alaska just restructured their points and loyalty programs. Do you think that Alaska and Bank of America will release a high annual fee co-branded Alaska card similar to American, Delta, and United? Hopefully, Alaska's card would be a more reward-focused card than the other 3 airlines, since Alaska's lounge network isn't very good. Key, your thoughts here?
First, I love the question. I love that it's like super nerdy. This is right up my alley. Couple things. Alaska merged with Hawaiian, so who knows what they're going to come up with. I don't feel like they're going to keep it named the Alaska Airlines mileage, whatever it's called, card. That's just not really that welcoming. Like, if you're not a part of the credit card game as close as we are, for example, like, you would assume like that's a card you only get if you fly on Alaska Airlines. We all know that's not true, but it just needs a different marketing. I don't know exactly what. But to answer your question more directly, do I think there's going to be a high annual fee credit card? Tough to say, but because of the success of every other large bank, right? Chase has multiple tiers of the United card, and um, other banks have multiple tiers of these cards. American Express with Delta, for example. I think it makes sense, right? They want to make sure that they're getting as much revenue as they can, and I think that does make sense. Do I know for a fact? No, pure speculation station here. But who knows? I'd rather speculate on what the heck they're going to call this name, because it can't be the Alaska program for much longer.
I do think the name of the program is going to change. It's mileage plan. I don't even remember the name of the
Yeah, I think
plan,
it's
honestly.
it's a mileage plan.
Yeah. They can get a little bit more creative. Um, I will say in answering, I do expect there to be one because Alaskan has said that they're planning on a higher tier card. Now, what that would be could be more reward focused, could be spend on that card will do elevated EQMs, their point for status currency. I think that card is going to be big on EQMs, will probably come with their companion pass as part of the annual fee, probably access to their lounge networks, and a fast track to a status that can match with One World to get access to more One World lounges if they don't want to do their specific lounges. So something that'll get you into British Airways executive clubs or American Admirals lounges, things like that. Are they going to do it? Yes. I do also think that paths that are currently available. Now they've said that they're going to end the Barclays card when the time comes, but Barclays just announced right before the merger they snuck in a 10-year extension to the Hawaiian Airlines cards. I don't know if there's any clause in that contract that like will give them the ability to like break away once this is finally like all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. I don't know if there's a potential breach of contract lawsuit that may come from Barclays, who has a contract with Hawaiian that would still be valid when Hawaiian ceases to be. So I don't know the full extent of what their program looks like. I know what they've said, and part of what they've said is like not having competitor banks be able to transfer in. They'd like to close that as quickly as they can, which means the American Express to Hawaiian to Alaskan pipeline. Enjoy that while it lasts. It probably isn't going to last particularly long. But then it's a question of what the co-branded cards will look like. Like there's the Barclays card with Hawaiian. There's the Built partnership, which is probably going to be long-standing because they just announced that earlier this year. So like they'll have Built as a transfer partner, and I don't know what else. So we'll see. But that bigger card, that higher annual fee card is definitely going to come. What sort of like direction they take with it, I am assuming companion pass. I am assuming some sort of way to accelerate to status to get access to other One World partner lounges if they don't want you into get you into their lounge particularly easily if their lounge network isn't that good. And the standard travel things, TSA pre-check, stuff like that. And then higher earnings on Alaska and accelerated EQMs. I think that's the most I can expect from that card. RJ, your thoughts on this restructured Alaska program, even though you don't fly Alaska?
Yeah, I don't really have the option to. I would if I could, but I can't, so I will not. What they should do is they should take the Delta Platinum card. They should take everything off of the Delta Platinum card and put it in Alaska and just make that card. Because the Delta Platinum is pretty much a near perfect card in terms of the price, in terms of what you get. It's got extra things. It's not just Delta points or Delta purchases to get points. There's dining and other things. It's a really solid card. So I think if they took a card like that and put it around the 350, 400 mark, I think it would be a solid card for them. But I do think they need something higher end. I also think, as a suggestion, they should call their rewards program the Lower 48 because it's Alaska and Hawaii. So, I'm a nerd. What can I say?
Continental
That's
Miles.
cute. That's cute. Can't. That's still got to be. That's still got to be trademarked by somebody.
Yeah, no, I could see 350, 400 for a higher tier card. Just don't include that Resi style credit and I'll be happy. I don't.
It's not that bad.
Just Resi gift cards.
Or just eat at a restaurant, guys. What are we
Yeah.
talking about?
I mean,
No, I will
I'm
either
just trolling at this point. Come on.
Yeah.
I will eat at a restaurant. I will not deal with the Resy gift cards. But no, that's totally fair. Tariq, your thoughts on the restructured Alaska?
I think if Alaska's going to do a higher tier credit card, co-branded, probably with like Bank of America, which is I think what their other cards are with. The only thing that I see is like a lot of people when they go for the those top tier co-branded cards. I'm thinking United, Club Infinite, Delta Reserve, and American Airlines Word Salad super high tier card. You know, they want those benefits. They want like the 2 check bags. They want the priority boarding, potentially priority check-in, and lounge access. And I think if they're going to do that, I feel like Alaska needs to put in a little bit more effort in their lounges and start having like a larger lounge ecosystem outside of the 9 lounges they have in the 6 airports that they are currently in. Now, I get it. It's more catered towards the West Coast, but they have a lounge in JFK. So I think if they're going to do that, I know like having like the elevator rewards is great, but I think if you're going to stick with the cookie cutter mold or the template of a premium high annual fee card, which is probably going to be somewhere in the 450 to like 550 range, you got to give the people what they want, the benefits, especially because let's be honest, effective annual fee crap aside, you're going to be putting a lot of money on that card for an annual fee. So I feel like there's got to be people like there's got to be value that people can get out of that in order to justify paying that card. I at least for me personally with like United, I'm going to go get the Club Infinite because of the lounge access, the priority boarding, the priority check-in, because of those extra benefits. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably just stick with the Explorer or maybe even the Quest for, you know, the extra points. So I feel like if the people on the West Coast were probably the ones primarily flying Alaska and now Hawaiian, getting those additional lounge benefits to elevate that travel day experience flying with Alaska, getting like a card like that is only going to be contingent on that travel day experience and the benefits. Like, yeah, having the rewards is great, but people are going to spend for the travel day experience that they're going to want.
Yeah,
Sorry.
interesting. Tariq, I'd love to chat with you more on your methodology for wanting the highest United card. I feel like there's probably better cards that are more suited and may earn you additional United miles than getting the ultra premium United card. But say all that to say, I actually went to the Bank of America website and I was curious on the airline cards in particular. So today, the Alaska Airlines Visa Signature Card comes with a $95 annual fee. Bank of America also has relationships with 3 other airlines. Spirit, no annual fee in the first year, $79 after that. Allegiant, $59 annual fee. And then finally, they have the Air France KLM credit card as well that has an $89 annual fee. So I'm changing my answer because American Express has their blueprint. You know, Chase has the blueprint to, you know, the multiple tiers. It doesn't seem like Bank of America wants to fall into that for whatever reason. I don't know if they've done different research, but I feel like if they wanted to have premium cards, they absolutely could, right? They have their own premium cards that have very high annual fees, so it's not like they're not exposed to that and have the data on that. But because all these other cards are sub $100, I think it's maybe unlikely actually that we see a $400-500 lower 48 card come out here.
Now that just makes me wonder when their credit card agreement with Bank of America comes to an end, because they technically have a backdoor agreement with Barclays for the next 10 years.
Yeah. So
I just
interesting.
didn't realize that Bank of America was the bank issuer for Spirit and Allegiant cards. the more you knew. I knew it was aware of this free Spirit card, but I don't know. I thought Spirit was going to get like a Synchrony or a Comenity just because, it's Spirit. So, the more you know, learn something new every day.
Although that flying blue card is a pretty solid card. That card actually is really, really solid because it will give you KLM silver like pretty much from jump. And they have offers to get you to that 100 experience points where you'll get like 40 for signing up for the card. You can get 20 for every anniversary. And there are welcome offers. I think you get 60 for signing up for the card. And then you can do spend for the other 40. And they give you 20 every year. So that card's actually really good. I do not remember if those co-brands qualify for preferred rewards. If they do, that does change their dynamic a little bit, but if they don't, then
They do not.
Oh, well, then I don't know what Bank of America is doing, and I don't know what Allegiant and Spirit were doing signing up with Bank of America.
Spirit just wanted someone to get the card, and Allegiant, I don't think I've ever seen a card with a $59 annual fee that wasn't like a Credit One low tier predatory card, at least nowadays. Now, granted, I'm new in the game in the 2020s, so it could have been, but like nowadays it just seems like a very like sketchy card annual fee. But that's just like my 2 cents.
They're overhauling their business model, like big seat up front and all of that. Anyway, we don't have to talk about Spirit. We're gonna go to our last question from Keith, also from Keith, who asked, some people say that this is currently the golden age of credit cards, but the last 18 months we've seen some major devaluations by most of the loyalty programs. Which devaluations do you think were worst, and did any affect your future credit card plans? So we're gonna go to RJ for this one.
So I don't know if I have a worse. The thing is, when you're somebody who is halfway locked into your airline partner just because of circumstance, everything is relative, right? Like, I don't really have a choice on who I fly. I mean, I do, but mathematically and logically, I don't really. So I haven't really kept up with the airline devaluation side, right? Like, I understand the airlines but to me, I don't care if it's 50,000 or 60,000. Like that, to me, that's a rounding error. And yes, it matters when I'm going to buy, but it is what it is. So I don't know if I have an answer to what is the worst. Does it affect my credit card plans? It does. This sort of goes back to our Marriott conversation for our basics. And if you watch these in order they come out, you'll find out about that in a couple of days. But with Marriott, like things have gotten very point expensive for certain things, which turns it into a cash stay for at least three of us, if not all of us, right? So it becomes this thing where it will change. Like, I don't need a Marriott card. Like, I was thinking about getting a Marriott card. Now I'm really not, because if I'm just going to use it for cash stays, I'll use my green, or I'll use a Hilton to stay at a Marriott to get a bunch of Hilton points, right? So there's a lot of ways that I might go around Marriott to get points in other ecosystems or to get points in just Amex. So it affects, if you have a system like that, it's going to affect if I want your card or not, if it's going to be a good deal. But I think my general strategy, I know the partners I want. So unless Hilton, every Hilton is 100,000 points for just the basic room, I'm probably not going to change that. So it doesn't affect my overall strategy a ton, but it might affect a card here or there.
Understandable. No, that makes complete sense. Key, have any devaluations sidetracked your credit card plans?
None are coming to mind. But I really think, just to flip the question on its head, is don't wait, right? Like, these banks don't really have our best interest in mind, obviously, just by the interest rates they're charging, just at the very baseline level. I'm gonna go into a little bit of a rant here, interrupt me whenever. But was watching Top Chef the other day on Bravo, and part of that show is they cook, and these are obviously very talented people, but part of that they go grocery shopping at Whole Foods, which I'm imagining is one of their major sponsors. They gave them the Wells Fargo Active Cash card to do their shopping at Whole Foods, and I'm kind of laughing if you're not watching the video because that's not it's not what you would want to use to go to Whole Foods or any grocery store, right? Not even Whole Foods
Why?
specifically. Again, right? Though it's all about marketing, right? And at the end of the day, if they have an easier time marketing a flat rate type of card to the masses, it makes sense to put product placement into a show like that. Me, I was sitting there and I was like, man, this doesn't make any sense. But again, they don't have our best interest in mind. So, say all that to say, get these cards that you want ahead of time and stop hoarding all these points. Have a plan, sign up for a card that gets you to execute your plan, and make some memories. Remember that inflation is a real thing.
The values are always going to go up. There's always going to be a devaluation of some kind. When we come to me, I'll expand upon that a little bit. But Tariq, have any devaluations, or has there been any devaluation that you would classify as a worst devaluation? And has it changed your credit card plans?
So, really, in regards to my credit card plans, the only thing that could potentially derail it, and I use the term loosely, is the inevitability that Hyatt goes dynamic, which like it's gonna happen eventually. And even then, I'll still probably potentially still use Hyatt just because I love their properties and the value is great. But other than that, I don't really see too much. I know when they rolled out Mr. and Mrs. Smith and it went dynamic, people started freaking out. It was like, is the end coming for Hyatt where the awards chart's going to go away? But I mean, like I said, all good things are going to come to an end. So I've come to terms with it, but it hasn't really like swayed me too much. I mean, I did get the Hyatt business card, which I've mentioned probably 25 times already, just so I can get more points to have the stays in the event of that. I mean, because other than that, there's the annual like award change to where like the property is going to go from like a category, like, the category increase going from like a category 4 to a category 5 or whatnot. So the Hyatt Regency that I stayed that was a category 3 is a category 4, so it's going to cost me extra points per night. But all in all, I think my strategy right now has just been kind of consistent. Only other thing I can think of would be like the decrease in the amount of like Saver Award spaces for United flights through like co-brands like Aeroplan or Turkish. But I'm so deep in trying to earn chase points in United Miles, and I'm not really branching out to those other ecosystems to try to play those games. Plus, I've already kind of did the math on them with like the booking, the taxes and fees on that, because I'd rather just book directly with United and just pay like $11 and change for my round trip flight versus like $40, $50, $60 trying to get like 10,000 Turkish miles or whatnot. So all in all, I think I'm okay, and nothing's gonna like sway me unless things just shut down. And I don't see Hyatt like completely shutting down anytime soon. So I think I'm good.
Makes sense there. For me, the only devaluations that I say are the worst devaluations are devaluations that are overnight, no communication devaluations. When flights were showing on Monday for 40,000 miles for whatever class, and then you wake up on Tuesday, it's 65,000, and it's not a dynamic program. That is something that is a peeve of mine. Especially if you have like partner airlines who you do have to pay like fees and taxes for, and overnight they just bounce up their taxes and fees and they make their bookings that much more expensive without any notice, that devaluation is a problem to me. Now, does it affect my personal credit card strategy? Not at the moment. There aren't any airlines besides like JetBlue. There aren't any other airlines I've decided to like roll in with their credit cards with, so I don't have to worry about that. I will try to just make the booking, make the trip, and whatever the value of the points are at the time of booking, that's just the value of the points. If a year later it's 80,000 points instead of 30,000 points, well, great. I got a great deal at 30,000 points. I don't worry about those devaluations taking me off of whatever credit card plans I have. Half the time I don't even have a plan. I have like loose, like,
The
oh,
idea
getting that
of a
card would be
plan?
cool. I didn't want to say idea of a plan or concept of a plan because reasons, but yes.
You have the idea
Um,
of a plan, sir.
Yes.
It's more of a concept of a plan, but I got you.
You know, I wanted to avoid those terms specifically. Thanks. But yeah, I don't have like a set roadmap. So sudden devaluations aren't going to change things for me too much. I have a set life that in March, Hyatt will announce what hotels are moving up a category and what like 3 hotels are moving down a category. That's predictable. That's nice. I know that Alaska can do no notice devaluations from time to time, depending on whether it's their particular flights or if it's partner flights. The no notice ones are annoying, but that doesn't really put me on or off a path unless I decide, unless there's a card that gives me a redemption kickback for my points, which there really aren't that many in the airline space. I know the JetBlue cards do. I'm not aware of any other. There's also the Delta cards with Take 15. So if I know that it's a program that devalues relatively often, I can at least plan on getting those particular cards to help me offset that devaluation in time, especially with the Delta cards or the JetBlue cards, because I'm getting 10 or 15%, depending on the card. So, you know, if I know it's a program that's going to devalue and I'm going to jump into that program, I may as well give myself a little bit of a cushion that outpaces inflation, at least in theory, based on the value of the points. And hotels, if you could come up with a plan similar to that, I would be eternally grateful. So any final thoughts, any final thoughts on these questions?
I think devaluations are just gonna happen, and if your strategy lives and dies by devaluation, you're gonna die a lot.
Yep.
Really take some time, right? Not all of the programs are going to devalue at the same time, and perhaps, right, you should focus on learning the ins and outs of one particular program that maybe you decide to fancy more than another. So that way, when something happens to like, and it affects the masses, maybe you know of a different way with their award chart or just maybe some of their partnerships they may have that you can still leverage, even if it is a couple extra thousand points, right? It may not be the end of the world. There's a lot of partnerships out here too.
Yeah. And if you use a strategy that is a lot of transferable currencies to start with, whether like if you're rolling with Chase and Capital One, you've got Chase partners and Chase UR points that you can move around as needed, and you have Capital One points that you can move around as needed to help you offset those things, because those will always have a pegged value just in case the worst happens. So that's going to do it for our questions this week. If you want to ask us questions, feel free to use our YouTube comments for questions for the podcast. You can also use the Stack Your Points Discord. The podcast questions portion of the Stack Your Points Discord is where you can ask the podcast related questions of your choosing. You can also email us at stackyourpoints@gmail.com if you happen to be listening to us and you don't know what Discord is, which is totally fair. We look forward to your questions going forward, and thank you so much for that portion of things. There we go. All right. Well, Looks like that is going to put the cap on another episode of Stack Your Points. Do we have any closing thoughts from anyone before we sign off?
Go Pack Go.
All right, that's fair. All right. Key, if folks wanted to find you across the interwebs, where's the best place to find you?
My handle on Instagram is Kiki Adventures. My Venmo is Kiki Adventures. And my YouTube channel is Kiki Adventures. So feel free to hit me up or make any donations you'd like on your respective platform. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Key,
Absolutely. Thank you, Key.
Just gave you a follow on Instagram.
Perfect.
RJ, where can we find you on the great expanses of the interwebs?
You can find me at Do You Take Cards in the Stack Your Points Discord.
And Tariq, where can we find you on the webs of inner?
So you can find me at my soon to be posting YouTube channel, Reeks Rewards. I'm almost finished kind of figuring out my how-to, and I've kind of done dragging my feet in the mud, and I just want to get it over with now. So that's coming soon. And other than that, you can find me at the Stack Your Points Discord, where I'm just probably whining about the Saints, well, was before, or just me being like the weird road runner that I am in the sports channel.
I mean, I might have to take a 2-month hiatus for you to start actually posting a video. You're going to lose 2 months of credit card news. You're going to lose 2 months of tidbits. And for some people, that might be a bonus.
People would be pissed. So that is a strong incentive. So yeah,
Get it done.
No, okay, yeah, cool.
Absolutely. And as always, this is Stack Your Points podcast. We record on Monday nights. We put out on Wednesday, Friday, and the following Monday. The full show is available on the podcatcher of your choice. We are coming in well under 3 hours tonight, so you're welcome. And we look forward to your support there. You can throw us 5 stars on the podcatcher of your choice. Please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Join the Stack Your Points Discord channel if you're so inclined. Great vibes over there. Key's a member over there. I'm a member. Tariq's a member. RJ's a member. We've got plenty of other members. Josh from last week is a member in there. Check out all of our channels. Matt Clausen on YouTube. Do You Take Cards for RJ? Reeks Rewards when he finally starts posting a video, and I don't want to go on strike. And Kiki Adventures, as well as Lonnie from the Call Me Lonnie channel. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.